Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance is a fighting video game developed and published by Midway for the Xbox. Now, this Xbox is not compatible with the 360 or the Xbox One. It's the one that came out in the early 2000s. It was also for the PlayStation 2, the GameCube, and the Game Boy Advance. It was the first all-new Mortal Kombat fighting game produced exclusively for home consoles with no preceding arcade release. This is chronologically the fifth main game in the Mortal Kombat series. There are two different Game Boy Advance games based on Deadly Alliance that were released. The first version with the same title was released in 2002, during the same week as the home console versions, while the second Game Boy Advance version, Tournament Edition, was released in 2003. Many years have passed since the events of Mortal Kombat 4. At that time, Kitana united the Shokan and Centaurians and the Adenians to fight against the forces of Outworld and finally defeat Shao Kahn. During this conflict, Shang Tsung and Quan Chi joined forces with one another, forming the Deadly Alliance. They plan to revive the undead army belonging to the previous Outworld ruler, the Dragon King Onaga. Their first task to do so is to eliminate their two main threats, Shao Kahn and Liu Kang, and they succeed in eliminating both of them. Goro, however, who was killed in combat during the war against Outworld, was revived by Shao Kahn and pledged loyalty to him once more. This Shao Kahn who revived Goro was the real one, since the one killed by the Deadly Alliance was only a copy. Raiden was furious that the Elder Gods didn't do anything to help Liu Kang, so he renounces his status as an Elder God to reunite the good guys once more and fight the Deadly Alliance. The gameplay is completely different from that of previous entries in the franchise. Each character now possesses 3 individual fighting styles, generally 2 hand-to-hand styles and 1 weapon style, with the exception of Blaze and Mocap. Players can switch between these styles with a push of a button. In previous games, aside from dial-a combos, all the characters fought virtually identically, with only special moves to differentiate them. The number of special moves per character has also been reduced, varying only from 2 to 4 for most, thus forcing the player to make use of the improved fighting system. Characters can no longer run, and there is no run meter. However, while still limited to only moving into the background, and foreground movement in the third dimension is much easier and can be used continuously. To prevent fighters from leaving the arena, boundaries that are otherwise invisible appear when a fighter is knocked against the edge. Character models became more realistic. Flesh will move or jiggle on a character as he or she moves around. Environmental interaction is present, but infrequent. Several levels include obstacles such as pillars or statues that can be shattered to damage an opponent standing near one. There is just 1 fatality per character, while the previous games include many ways to finish the opponent. Along with Mortal Kombat X, it is the only other Mortal Kombat game that does not include stage fatalities, although the Acid Bath level still possesses special acid vomiting statues called Acid Buddhas that do damage directly to fighters that stray too close to them. New characters introduced into this game are Blaze, Boraicho, Draman, Frost, Zhu Hao, Kenshi, Lime, Mavado, Mocap, Malak, and Natara. As for the returning characters, you know the rest, except for Liu Kang, because in the intro to this game, he is killed by the Deadly Alliance. Despite the success of the 4th game, the series had begun to suffer from overexposure by the late 90s, while spawning mostly failed or mediocre projects such as the animated series Defenders of the Realm that lasted only 1 season, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which underperformed in theaters. The live-action series Mortal Kombat Conquest lasted for only 1 season, despite the strong ratings. On the game front, the side-scrolling Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero was met with limited interest, as was a Dreamcast port of Mortal Kombat 4 titled Mortal Kombat Gold. Among critics, both games were considered mediocre at best and received less unfavorable reviews. But another game that was heavily blasted was Mortal Kombat Special Forces, an adventure game like Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero and Shaolin Monks.